Hey everyone, and welcome to Simplify Data Security with Automation. Today's webinar is sponsored by Rubrik and produced by Actual Tech Media. Speaking of Actual Tech Media, I am Keith Ward. I am with that very company, and I am thrilled to be your moderator for today's special event. Before we go there, though, I need to cover some important housekeeping items. First, send in your questions. Just drop them in the questions box in your webinar control panel. That's also where you can let us know where you're logging in from. I happen to be in North Central Maryland, kind of near Baltimore, DC, and Pennsylvania, kind of tucked in there. How about you? Where are you located? Let us know today. Now, that Q&A panel is also the place to let us know about any technical issues you might be experiencing. A browser refresh is what you're going to want to do first and second if things go haywire for you. If you can't hear something or see something, give that browser a quick refresh. And if that doesn't work, let us know in that Q&A, and we will hop on immediately and help you out as best we can. Okay, next, there's a bunch of great resources in the handout section. That's right there next to the questions tab. I'd especially like to call your attention to 3 Rubrik handouts today, and they are a link to their Data Security Summit, a buyer's guide to data security posture management, and a guide to measuring your data's risk. Now, that is what I call a fantastic lineup of resources. So download those now. In the handout section, you're also going to find a link to the ATM Decisions group, which is a panel of IT decision makers that you can apply to join to participate in more in-depth events and other opportunities. You're also going to want to take a look at the ATM Events Center, which has our calendar of more upcoming events like this one, and see what you like. If you see something you like or many things you like, well, sign up today. Okay, next up, as the Joker said in the Michael Keaton Batman movie, we're giving away free money. At the end of this webinar event, we're going to be awarding a $250 Amazon gift card to one of you. Now, you do have to be in attendance during the entire live event to qualify for the prize. The official terms and conditions of which can be found in the handout section. Scroll to the bottom and you will find the link with the details there. And with that, folks, let's get to today's amazing content. Cannot wait to see what we have got on tap. And it is my pleasure to bring our presenter on right now. That is Seema Kathuria, Senior Product Marketing Manager, Security for Rubrik. Seema, you have got the floor now. Please take it away.
Thank you. And I'm Seema Kathuria. I'm a Senior Product Marketing Manager at Rubrik. Today, I'll be sharing with you how you can simplify data security with automation. Here's the agenda. I'll talk about Rubrik, what the company does, what we're known for, and cyber resilience, the importance of cyber resilience as you think about your cybersecurity strategy. Rubrik's data context and how it can be used across your existing tools as well as from the Rubrik platform itself to provide very important visibility into data and data security postures. And finally, we're going to dive deeper into simplifying data security with automation, be it directly from Rubrik as well as other tools in your portfolio. So who is Rubrik and how can Rubrik help me? Maybe the best way to answer that question first is explaining what we don't do, what Rubrik doesn't do, which is prevention. We don't prevent anything. Yet you might ask, how can you be a security company if you're not preventing threats? Well, preventing threats is critical, and we recognize that there are a lot of good companies who are doing this, and you probably know a lot of these yourselves. We're partnering with leaders in a variety of different security tools that focus on prevention. But when it comes to cybersecurity, there's a critical gap that continues to exist, protecting and securing the data that lives inside of different places, be it on-premises data centers, be it the cloud, be it SaaS applications. Ensuring your data is defensible at all times and that your business is cyber resilient is a really important consideration. Why is it really critical? Why is it important to think about cyber resilience? In particular, organizations can continue to be hit. by things like ransomware as well as other cyber attacks. And it's not a failure of prevention firms. In fact, if anything, we should assume breaches will happen, and they continue to happen and impact organizations across a variety of industries. You can see a number of them are the healthcare industry, it's often financial services, even government. The big attacks in the news are always focused on data. And so when they get hit, these organizations are really worried about their data getting stolen. So the approach that Rubrik's taken is we believe that the focus of cybersecurity needs to expand. And that is where Rubrik comes in. We provide this particular value of delivering complete cyber resilience. This is because we focus on the data security itself. Rather than working outside in, as prevention security often does, we start with a focus on the data within, and how we can take action on the data by having a lot of information and context around that data. What is cyber resilience? It's a combination of two really big important pillars. The first is data security posture management, and the second is cyber recovery, also known as enterprise data backup or protection. And Rubrik in particular has been around for 10 years, and we've been really well known for the enterprise data backup protection. We're one of the leaders there because we recognize that a number of firms continue to be hit by ransomware. So how could we help them stay resilient in the face of ransomware? More recently, you might have heard of data security posture management on the left side. And this is relatively a new area that is recognizing attacks will happen. And therefore, how can you have visibility into your data security posture to limit the data exposure and the risk of data exfiltration? So combined, data security posture management, or DSPM, and cyber recovery can help you really achieve more comprehensive cyber resilience. And Rubrik Security Cloud is our platform that enables this cyber resilience. If you look at the Gartner, which is one of the big analysts in security, Gartner Magic Quadrant has given us the designation as leader. So Rubrik's been a leader in the Magic Quadrant report for the past 4 years, in particular for our enterprise data backup and recovery capabilities. We provide immutable enterprise backup. It's the best in the industry. Immutable data backup essentially means that you have a copy of data that cannot be changed, deleted, or overwritten until a specific time has passed. Immutable data backups are protected, unchangeable, and encrypted. This will help ensure data is secure, be it a situation of a natural disaster, a human disaster, or initiated event, ransomware from any kind of malicious actors, as well as other cyber threats. You want to make sure your data is protected no matter what kind of event happens. And that's where immutable backups come in. You need to think of backup as a key part of your cybersecurity strategy and architecture. It's the ultimate insurance. And there are a number of things that Rubrik has innovated over the last 10 years that we've been in this market to make sure that you feel like we can be a trusted vendor to make sure we're securing your data in a very strong immutable backup. With that data backup, it's a great place to get data context. Now that we know about your data, in this form, we can put that data into getting insight out of that data to work for you. So in the remaining part of the session, we'll talk about how you're able to take a lot of these insights, knowing where your data is stored, where it's located. What kind of data do you have? Is it sensitive data? And if so, how can you classify that data? How can you make sure that only those who need access should have access at a specific time and place, and where they should be revoked access? So there's this dynamic of having access to data and whether that data access should change over time, and has it changed over time? All that visibility is available. We also have to understand how data can be changing in terms of location, maybe the way that it's being used in terms of compliance. So there are a number of variety of dynamic things that are happening that in some cases are in the organization's control, and in other cases they have to comply with. Let's think about next then how we can actually leverage this data context to simplify data security using automation. Automation that can be available either natively through Rubrik or through your other tools that you may be using today that enable that automation and taking action on threats. And that's where we also come in because we can integrate with a number of those solutions. Let's first dive into data context from a recovery point of view. We talked about the fact that ransomware can happen and how can you recover more quickly and in a safe place with it. We will talk about the fact that Rubrik Cyber Recovery here allows you to surgically and rapidly recover applications, files, or objects while actually avoiding malware reinfection. Importantly, attackers are not only encrypting your data, oftentimes they're actually really trying to reinfect even your backup data. And that's where we come in by understanding that attacks are evolving from a one-time thing to even being multifaceted. So we can help you restore your business operations, by going back to a safe recovery point with your data. And as your data set is evolving, as you have more data come in to your backup, we can actually go ahead and understand the changes in the data backup and just add more of that data backup over time, and saving you time and cost, really minimizing that need to go in manually and check for changes in that, how much backup data, at what point in time did you have to back up the new data. We can take care of that for you seamlessly. The other way to use our data context is to monitor for threats using Rubrik Threat Monitoring. It will automatically identify indicators of compromise, also known as IOCs, based on the latest threat intelligence. And this threat intelligence can be then fed into the Rubrik threat feed. There's two things. The hashes and the Yara rules are going to come from different contributors. In one of the cases, the contributor is Rubrik's own information security team, which is wonderful because you get to leverage the same threat intel that we're using to protect our own selves when we're looking at our own data. And the other intel can also come from our Rubrik Zero Labs, which is shown on the left. This is our own internal threat research team that is continuously monitoring for what is happening with different sensitive data across different sets of data for our own company as well as other companies that we're protecting. We can also get data from third parties. Maybe you have certain threat intel sources that you want to be able to consume. You can tell us about them, and we can also work with our own partners to leverage threat intelligence. We will also make sure, no matter where that threat intelligence comes from open source, third party, our own teams, we're going to vet it to make sure that the quality of the intelligence is very high. We want to also make sure that threat intelligence is relevant, that the threats are relevant to the critical infrastructure environments we're helping to protect. Once that threat intelligence has been vetted, it's downloaded by threat monitoring at a set time interval. And as new threat intel comes in, a threat hunt can get kicked off automatically and go out and search for specific threats based on the hashes and Yara rules. And that's really important. You want to make sure that you are continuously looking for any match and notified either by email or checking your own Rubrik's data threat analytics dashboard for the latest threat intel. You can also drill down via our dashboard to see where that threat was located, what hash or Yara rule had been matched, and find attributes associated with the hash or Yara for more background information. This could assist you in potentially kicking off other threat hunts through our Rubrik threat hunting feature, or via third-party tools like SIMs or EDRs. You could even quarantine the threat from within threat monitoring. So that's another big benefit, is actually trying to isolate that particular threat until you can go ahead and contain it. Essentially, threat monitoring is a turnkey solution that will help you detect and protect the organization from threats. The intelligence is automatically downloaded. The threat hunts based off this threat intelligence are also automatic. And if threats are found, you're notified about them. And any attributes associated to the threat can be shared whenever possible, making it really a simple solution. Next, consider having data context for detection of anomalous behavior to determine the scope of a cyber attack. This is where Rubrik anomaly detection comes in. It's a comprehensive approach to ransomware remediation. So imagine a situation that you have a ransomware attack. How are you going to remediate quickly? Rubrik can help. Rubrik anomaly detection uses multi-stage machine learning to detect anomalies on your backup data. These stages include observing file creations, deletions, and modifications, and comparing those things to historical changes within the specific workload to understand what changed and what happened. So you can then start doing more detective investigative work. Also, entropy is analyzed to determine if any ransomware-like encryption had taken place. That's definitely a big indicator of some suspicious action and event that happened. And finally, if it is possible, we could even identify the specific ransomware strain, giving you even more insight when you go back and do your investigation to be able to see what kind of action can be taken, what point in time to investigate that particular ransomware type. If an attack has already occurred, Rubrik automates the assessment of the blast radius to understand quickly what applications and files were impacted and when they were impacted, importantly, in a point in time. This eliminates the intensive manual labor that's required, like bringing up a virtual machine copy, manually comparing and scrubbing for changes, which could take weeks, if not months also in some cases. Anomaly detection can help. It gets really granular, down to the folder and file level, so you know exactly what was impacted and could have to be recovered from your backups. And unlike other solutions in the market, Rubrik can even detect encryption of VMs, such as the popular VMware ESXi hypervisor. And this is really important because malicious actors are increasingly targeting virtualization infrastructure today. And these attacks could take down systems that are running on virtual infrastructure, including even security tools that run on virtual infrastructure. So it's really important to have this visibility and ability to detect these kinds of things where your VMs in particular become vulnerable to attack and encryption. And because your data is not available in read or write mode, it cannot be overwritten. This refers to our file system immutability. One-click recoveries can be leveraged to revert back to the most clean, recent version, whether using instant recovery, live mount, or even file-level recovery operations. You can rest assured that you can recover back to a clean, safe point as quickly as possible. Another use case for data context is being able to use data context to automatically discover and classify your sensitive data. This is the part of when we lean into the data security posture management piece, we start thinking about how can I discover my sensitive data? How do I know what kind of sensitive data I have? We can automate that for you. We can locate and discover that data across on-premises data centers, cloud, and SaaS environments. This means that you don't have to really put any manual efforts into understanding where the sensitive data is, and then where you can go ahead and find that data and then take some action on it. We can provide visibility into known as well as unknown shadow data in the cloud, scanning your environment even without any intervention from the team, so making it really simple and easy. You can really focus that way on what's important to your business. We can even scan new data assets as they are brought on board into those environments. We can even find changes to existing data assets and then make sure that they've been labeled properly. One of the more recent innovations is we're integrating with the Microsoft Information Protection labeling so that we'll be able to do even more enrichment of that labeling mechanism. So really enriching some of your existing DLP and MIP solutions. In addition to data discovery and classification, you also have to think about what else you need to look for when you're looking at the data security posture itself to reduce the risk of data theft upfront, or hopefully ahead of an attack. For one, we will help you eliminate unnecessary data. Think about redundant data, stale data you no longer need as a business. It's completely something that you can forego. You don't need it anymore. If you can do that, that's going to help you reduce your attack surface. So by locating that for you, you can actually take an action on that data and reduce your overall footprint. You could even lower your cloud spend on data backup because you're no longer going to save any of this extra data that's no longer needed in your cloud. Now you can focus your security efforts on just the data that you care about. The second benefit is we'll help you limit access to sensitive data by identifying your most risky users. In some cases, these could be your C-level leadership folks that might have access to some, that undisclosed information of the companies, maybe in forthcoming press release. It could be data that is of your own personal users. It could be PII data. You want to understand who are the most risky users and what kind of sensitive data they have in the organization based on how they're accessing that data. Are they touching data they shouldn't be? You can use this information to proactively implement least privilege access, which is a very critical way for you to reduce the data exposure. And third, we will continuously assess data posture, identifying and enabling you to remediate data security violations that put your sensitive data at risk of exposure and exfiltration, because it's not a one-time thing. Data is not going to stay still. Users won't stay still. You want to continuously be monitoring for any new and upcoming risks to the data. And finally, we'll monitor and alert you to anomalous and suspicious data access and activity as soon as possible. That way you can quickly contain security incidents and minimize the financial, business, and regulatory impact it could have on your organization. One of the more recent capabilities we've also added from an action standpoint is being able to take action on key insights that we've gleaned within our Rubrik Cloud on users, their activity on sensitive data, and permissions. Say you have an IT service team that you want to go ahead and take some action on this insight that Rubrik is providing on user access to data. We can actually go ahead and enable that through our new integration with ServiceNow ticketing system. The first step of this is being able to have Rubrik identify any new instance of data accessed by a specific identity or user. The second is the Rubrik admin will go in to the Rubrik Security Cloud UI and file a ticket. And they're kicking off that ticket process for ServiceNow. And then within the last stages are the third and final steps to manage and track those tickets across time for the status and follow up on the corrective action you want to take against that particular identity. Maybe you want to revoke access at this time for that particular data set from that identity. Well, with this IT service ticket management system, you'll be able to take that action. So really happy that this is something that our customers of ServiceNow can start taking advantage of. And when you look at the final piece, which I mentioned earlier, is we recognize our customers are using a lot of different security tools already, and we can help them make them even more powerful. with information Rubrik has to understand organizations' data, knowing what's happening on the production data and what we're backing up from that production system, we can give you that better context to existing security tools to make security teams more aware and efficient. For one, Rubrik will provide information about your sensitive data to your data loss prevention tools, for example, to prevent data exfiltration. Say that certain data set, think of the analogy of having all your diamonds in a certain safe and locker, but you have less valuable jewelry in another locker. Well, we can distinguish between the most sensitive data and less sensitive data and nuance that and give you that kind of granularity of data context so you can take the appropriate action with your DLP tools. Another level of context is we'll provide user intelligence for your identity and access management, or IAM tools, also to that infrastructure. This is to help detect compromised accounts. Maybe there's an account that is all of a sudden having a behavior where they shouldn't be touching certain kind of sensitive data. And we realize that there's this kind of behavior that's happening that does not indicate that this user is behaving in the way they should. We are suspecting it's a compromised account. We can send that kind of context over to the IAM tool to then take an action, maybe resetting that person's password or other credentials in order for them to get back in business and not go through that whole compromised situation anymore. We can provide a number of SOAR and SIM tools with a context in terms of logs, messages, automated playbooks, which will help the security operations teams reduce manual tasks. It's really going to enable them because they have this rich data context that they can leverage within those existing threat logs. Rubrik can provide data to your other solutions, your network security, cloud security, as well as other zero trust or ZTNA solutions to better protect your data. We are uniquely in a position with the backups that we have to provide this rich context to those solutions. And finally, if you today have endpoint detection response, XDR solutions and tools, we will help you by providing that context to help triage and reduce the mean time to response by, again, working alongside with that tool and providing that data context to them. And if you want to know what vendors we work with, we're more than welcome to look at our website. We started working with a number of vendors, including CrowdStrike, having integration with them. It's really important to put this context directly into your existing security tools. Why? Because then you're combining the target, which is the data context, with the threat context that you have into a single place, a place that your security practitioners are using every day. And this helps with detecting, prioritizing, and responding ultimately to those threats to better secure your data as much as possible to help with that cyber resilience. And of course, last but not least, I wanted to talk to you about how we can really enrich and make life easier for the backup admin, for the security admin, by offering this generative AI companion that we call Ruby from Rubrik. After we make data context easy to consume, understanding and acting on it through this Ruby powerful tool will enable customers to quickly perform the most complex tasks. It's a very new capability that we've really invested in because we recognize that organizations are looking for strong cyber resilience and they want more and more help where they don't have enough people that they can necessarily find nor afford. So it's important to be able to use this assistive technology to really enable this. A large part of the strong cyber resilience is about rapid recovery from cyber attacks. So that is the first use case. So Rubrik will help you do that by working within the same security cloud from Rubrik UI. And the skills will be helping you through a specific workflow while providing all the necessary context right at your fingertips. It will help you guide and help the customers through the recovery process after a cyber attack happens. And it's built on Microsoft Azure's OpenAI technology and been trained on our own Rubrik's internal knowledge and expertise. So you don't need to train it as a customer. It's not going to use any customer data, so there's not that privacy concern. But what I'm sharing with you today is the first use case of Ruby, and there'll be more to come as we equip Ruby with more skills over time, in addition to this post-attack recovery, as a practical, ever-evolving solution to help you strengthen your cyber resilience. So I encourage you to learn more about Ruby, again, on our website, www.rubrik.com. So as I move towards our summary for today, we're a company that is all about protecting data at its very core. And in the Rubrik Security Cloud, it's enabling you to achieve very high cyber resilience through a combination of strong data security posture management and our market-leading cyber recovery solution, so that you have a single place to go, the Rubrik Security Cloud, to be able to manage that data over time, understand how the data security posture is changing over time, which users are accessing that sensitive data, and then being able to use all of that great data context in your existing tools as well as within Rubrik. And if you're thinking, well, why is cyber resilience as important as, or if not, more, is in terms of preventing threats? I'm already preventing threats with a lot of the tools I have. Is that not enough? Well, the reality is successful attacks can happen. And in that case, you want to minimize the damage, absorb the hit, and recover quickly. These are three big outcomes. Now, with Rubrik, you will know what you're protecting. You'll know what data you have. You can reduce your data exposure and your data theft risk with DSPM. You can monitor the data directly for threats through a number of the capabilities like threat monitoring that we talked about, being able to threat hunt on specific indicators of compromise and be in a much more proactive state. And we've also shared that data context with other security tools. So that just helps you enrich data context with threat context to take even greater action in your existing tools. Overall, all in all, now you'll be able to achieve cyber resilience. You'll be prepared in case an attack does happen. So if I leave you with cyber resilience is being able to successfully endure cyber attacks rather than solely trying to prevent them. So think about racing atop a mountain bike. You could get hurt, and in that case, the key is what kind of protective gear you have, what you have on. And if and when you crash, can you just dust off and continue the race? Well, that's the goal. Cyber resilience is to be prepared for the attack so it doesn't take you out of the race. Thank you.
Wow, I am not sure that guy was ready. Was quite ready to just get up and dust himself off. That was looking like it was going to be one nasty accident. But I do appreciate the analogy very much, Seema. What a great presentation. Love whenever Rubrik presents and seeing what innovative things they're doing. Just one of the leading companies in the industry in terms of protecting your data. And it's always great to remind us about the importance of automation, how you really just can't keep up anymore if you're not automating operations. So I really very much appreciate that presentation today. And I wanted to mention that although Seema is not able to stay for Q&A today, she and the Rubrik team will be following up on all the questions that you have asked today. So we are almost done today, folks. But before I let you go, we have one more piece of business to take care of, and that is the Amazon gift card prize drawing. And the winner of the $250 Amazon gift card for today is Bruce Spiegel from Virginia. Congratulations to you, Bruce. We will be in touch ASAP to get you your card, so sit tight. And with that, folks, on behalf of the Actual Tech Media team, I want to thank Rubrik for making this event possible. I want to thank you, the attendees, for being here, as always, for spending time with us, for your great questions, and for your interest in what is going on out there in the world of AI and security. That concludes the event. I can't wait to see you in the next one, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.